Joe, Mays, and J-Raff Show, bringing you the latest news and commentary on baseball.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out! The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball!
Hockey, college football,
The Big Ten championship lies on a measurement.
Did he get it? No! He didn't get it! Penn State home!
They brought back the fun, they brought back the excitement, and now they've brought back a Big Ten championship. The Penn State Nittany Lions are Big Ten champions.
and the NFL.
1:16 to go, 41 yards. Cardona to Allen. Skowski. 6 titles, 9 appearances. How about the drive to go close it out? You see Tom Brady. Enjoy him, folks. You're never, ever going to see it again. Not in our lifetime. Nope. So here's Zerline, part 1, 48 yards. And we'll end it. No good. The rain continues. Yes, it does. They've got to snap it one more time. The ball will end up in the hands of Tom Brady on the kneel down. And there it is. The dynasty continues.
Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffoff.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. I am one of your hosts, Joe Mays, and sitting next to me is my co-host, Justin Raffoff.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Just noticed your shirt. That's not cool. But we will. Lots of things to talk about.
Well, we're a week away from that game, which is clearly one of the most important games in all of college football. So, very excited for it. I shouldn't be, as Navy is riding a 3-game losing streak after winning, what was it? Was it 16 in a row? I honestly, I'm asking, I don't recall.
Yes, it was 16 in a row.
Because I remember saying the winning streak is old enough to drive.
Yes.
So I think but that was the last one. So a little schadenfreude.
I feel like Navy is poised for a comeback this year, though.
Yeah, but see, this is and this goes for nearly every rivalry from, Pee Wee League up through the pros. When rivals play, records go out the window.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen it at every level, and Army-Navy is definitely one of those.
Right.
And but Navy's got a good team this year, and I know Army's struggling a little bit. I'm excited for it, and definitely will actually be very close to the game when it's played next week, as I'll be down visiting my sister-in-law, and she lives just a little bit outside of Philadelphia. So
I know Ross Tucker has been calling all the Army games this year. I wonder if he gets to call this game too, or if they don't, because it's special broadcasts and things like that. I don't know, but that would be really cool. I think they played at Hawaii last week, and I think he was out there for that.
Wow, really?
And then he was
good for him.
Yeah, at the Pennsylvania State Championships this weekend. So
why missing football grad?
He was probably working today in the NFL somewhere, I'm guessing.
Princeton grad, right? Princeton?
Yeah, Princeton.
And he just got done calling a majority of the Pennsylvania high school state championship games. So, we've actually talked about having Russ on, which would be a fun one.
That would be an incredible one.
That would be cool to do. So maybe we can tackle that sometime. If we can ever plan out far enough ahead that we can coincide with his availability. That would be fun to talk, because we could really talk everything that this show is interested in: Pennsylvania high school football, college football, and pro football. He's got his hand in all of it.
Yeah, I'd say he's a pretty good source of knowledge for that.
Oh, right, because he also played in the NFL for a decade.
Yeah.
So we know 3 people that played in the NFL for a decade. So it's fun. It's cool. So. We'd love to bring that. Maybe when we get to show 300, that would be a cool one to see if he'd be available.
Let's see what we can get going.
Yeah, so we're actually, crazy enough, in a couple months, we'll be reaching out to Chad and see if he wants to come back on the show. It seems like we just did that.
Yeah, big win for them today.
Yeah, right? So. Big win, and we'll get into that. We were talking college football and pro football today here, December 8th. Crazy to think it's already December 8th of 2019, but you haven't heard from us in about 2 weeks. We did a show over 2 weeks ago. Was the day of the Penn State-Ohio State game, and we all know that didn't go Penn State's way. However, I think it went better than a lot of people thought it was going to go.
Yeah.
We saw them fight back. They had some issues, but
I feel like that game pretty much told us what we knew, and what I still hold to be true is that Penn State's the second best team in the Big Ten.
Right.
Ohio State's the best team in the Big Ten, and they earned it on the field and in
on paper.
Right.
And
yes.
in
That's the way I was trying. On paper and on the field, they proved that this year, and I feel like Penn State is the second best team in the Big Ten. Others would argue that they're the third best, and I feel like Penn State could have done more to prove that they were the second best team, and it didn't work out that way. But I still feel like you're not going to change my mind based on the things that we've seen so far that they're not.
Yeah. All this does to me, everything we're going to talk about now, it upsets me with what happened on November 9th.
Yeah.
Like, that Minnesota game is inexcusable. Like, that's the game that I point to, and everyone should point to. Now, some may focus on, well, you got to beat the elite to become the elite, and they'll say that it's the Ohio State game. The Minnesota game isn't as big, but the Minnesota one is more bothersome to me because they are better than Minnesota. Like, it's one of those, I think, it's not one I'm saying they beat them 9 times out of 10, but I think they beat them 7 times out of 10.
Yep.
So, like, even if you do a split 5-5 home and away, I think they beat them in Minnesota at least twice.
Right.
So that one doesn't sit well with me. And Minnesota had all the momentum. It seemed when Penn State was this, undefeated top 4 in the CFP.
Right.
Like, it just that one bothers me. The Ohio State one doesn't bother me as much. The Minnesota one still bothers me, and it just it really grinds my gears because it happened 20 years after Minnesota destroyed our hopes in '99. Now, thankfully, the team didn't unravel.
They derailed.
Yeah, the team didn't unravel like they did 20 years ago. But the Minnesota game still, and how much? Well, let's not bury the lead too much. Penn State's going to the Cotton Bowl.
Yes. Yeah.
They are in the New Year's Six for the third time in 4 years. They've won 10 games or more for the third time in 4 years.
When you're looking at it, somebody's like, just in like you said, there is room to be frustrated and upset about all that stuff. Absolutely. However, then somebody's like, who would have thought that we'd be sitting here and be upset over which New Year's Six game we're going to?
Right.
Like that.
Expectations change weekly.
Right, and that's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, they're
it's
not going down.
Thing.
We're not. Are we going to make a bowl this year?
Right, and we're trending in the right direction. I believe. Like there's still steps to be made, but the problem is when you get higher, like as those expectations change, the room for error and what you have
your margin of error decreases.
Right. So like, I kind of look at it as like my terrible putting game when I'm golfing. All right. Well, if I'm on the green, but I'm still 30 yards away, got a massive green. Like if I putt and I only get halfway there, that's a problem, right? But when I putt and only get halfway there again, like as I'm getting closer, like it's a shorter distance, but it's a big deal, right? And like if I only get halfway there every time, I'm never going to get there. Like, and I'm not saying Penn State's never going to get there, but I'm just saying like the strides from where they were 6 years ago to now, those are big increments. And so like I think it's easy to see some of that progress, but at the same time, you go and like the little things, some of the little things are now becoming the big things, I guess, like, so things that we weren't worried about because there were so many other glaring issues, those have been kind of been worked on. And I think so now we're getting into some of those finer details that separate being the team. And so like a friend of mine who is diehard into Penn State and college football and honestly pro football, but college football, like he knows all these things. And Corey, so you know of Corey. And so like, he's like, when we've had this conversation a long time ago, and this isn't necessarily even right now, but like, when do you go in like not expecting to lose a game? Like, cause he's like, let's look at it like Ohio State. Like Ohio State, every season they expect to win every single game. Now, they don't every season, like that's part of college football, but they expect to win every game every year. He's like, and that's the goal. Like, not obviously the goal is to win every game every year, but that's not realistic. That doesn't happen. But like, when do you get to the point where like, no, we expect to win every game? Because like this year, we were like going into the season, 8-4, 9-3, maybe 10-2, maybe
10-2 would be a good year. That's the thing.
Right.
We were like, man, if they could go 10-2, and if they could win this gauntlet, and they won that gauntlet.
Right.
They got tripped up right after it.
Right.
But they won the gauntlet, and I do want to give props out. And we had him on the show like the beginning when we started this back in 2011. His name's Kevin McGuire.
Yeah.
He nailed Penn State's record perfectly.
Yeah. And I remember reading
down
at the
to the individual games, not 10-2, 10-2 with losses to Minnesota and Ohio State. And he writes for I can't forget. Excuse me.
Isn't it?
I don't know if this was in Sporting News or Athlon, or he writes for he's one of the college football writers for a variety of sites. He works for part-time for College Football Talk on the NBC Sports Network. I think this was part of predictions for a different magazine, but I could be wrong. It doesn't matter. He got it exactly.
He probably
right.
used the same ones for different
You would
things.
think so, yeah. So Kevin, who I believe has been on the show many years ago, he got Penn State's schedule exactly right, and despite him, having to have no biases or whatnot, we know that he appreciates the Nittany Lions. And before he got into this business, I think that was his number one team. So congratulations to Kevin on that, although I wish he was wrong in 2 games in the other direction. But it's a tough thing. But we talked about it 2 weeks ago about expectations, and 8-4, 9-3, and here they are 10-2, and people are feeling deflated. But I don't really think it's really deflated about the Penn State team. I think it's the way that the bowl selection played out.
Yeah, I think right now it's more on the way the bowl selection. I think in the past month, people have like come to terms with the Minnesota loss. Like, obviously disappointed, but like it is what
you
it
have
is.
to. Like,
right,
it's a month past now.
But like, I think people feel like they're better than Wisconsin, and I saw a lot of people who are conflicted like me who want Wisconsin to pound Oregon because it's good for the Big Ten. Which this whole conference rooting thing is new, like in the last few years. However, they also want to see Wisconsin get pounded because
this is where I'm at. Well, first of all, I think it's a little ridiculous the way the college football top 25, at least the top 10 to 12 played out.
Yes.
I don't know if I disagree with LSU jumping Ohio State, but Ohio State had been their number one for how long, so it's a little odd.
Right.
But because
if you're gonna say the numbers have supported LSU to be number one for the last 2 months.
Right. I know they had Ohio State there.
Right, and then they had LSU, and then they bumped Ohio State over.
Right, they bumped them up. Yeah, that's right.
So like, I don't understand if
what's
the
with the flip flopping.
Right.
Why is this coming from? Did you all of a sudden remember LSU's in the SEC and they have to have the number one team?
Now, like, I feel like LSU should have been the number one team, but I also am confused about the flipping. Like, if you had Ohio State there, like, they had to beat Wisconsin twice, and beating a team twice is really hard. And it's not a nobody. You have Wisconsin ranked in the top 10, as opposed to Georgia, who I don't think is that good.
Well, yeah.
I don't think Georgia's that good.
Let's look at this now. Here, I'll pull it up for those of you that are watching, so you don't have to go looking for it. Hopefully, you'll be able to see this, and it's not too small on your screen. But so LSU's number one. They jumped Ohio State. LSU beat up on Georgia, 37-10.
Yeah, and it wasn't that close. Like, they destroyed them. Like, and they absolutely manhandled Georgia, who was number 4 coming in. So
Ohio State comes from behind and defeats Wisconsin.
Right.
Ohio State didn't demolish them like they did the previous meeting, but they still beat them by 2
Well,
scores.
and if you're going to take into account injuries, which they did with Tua at the beginning, like they were giving them the benefit of the doubt and all this stuff. Well,
Fields
how do you
wasn't
not do that with
100%,
Fields? Right.
So right there, it's like, all right, I get it. I don't know if it makes sense. You probably should have put Ohio State over them weeks ago, but
At
whatever.
the same time, like, I don't. Yeah.
Clemson 3, I'm fine with.
Right.
No problem with Clemson at 3, and even Oklahoma at 4.
And honestly, Clemson may be right now the best all-around team, but they haven't beaten anyone
at all.
They haven't beaten anyone, and that's not necessarily their fault. Like, Texas A&M was not as good this year. they should
Right.
be. And so, like, that's not really their fault, but they've beaten no one. No one. I know they've beat a lot of teams, a lot of bad teams by a lot, but so did Ohio State.
Sixers won.
Right, there we go.
So basically what I'm saying is, of the top four, I'm okay with that playoff format. Those
Absolutely.
four, I think they earned it.
Right.
Maybe you could argue 1 and 2 should be flipped, but whatever. If that's they'll play it out. Like, that's
Right.
the point of the playoff. We will
Right.
find out who is the best of those
You're
four.
gonna have
I
to
think,
beat. You're gonna have to win your games.
right.
Like,
I
it
think
doesn't
those
really matter.
four are correct.
And it, unlike if there were some other playoff scenarios, you're playing. I know it's not truly neutral, but like, because LSU is playing in Atlanta again,
Right.
and then if they win, they'll play in New Orleans for the national championship. So that could be crazy.
Well,
But-
that is what it is. You
But I think
can't.
Ohio State may have picked the Fiesta Bowl if they were the one. You know,
Right.
like they
I think they were leaning that way.
right. So I don't know. I don't know that it would have played out any differently.
Right.
So
So my first big issue is, how is Georgia dropping one
And
spot after getting destroyed
I
by
mentioned this
LSU?
to you in the thing. The guy, it was like he let it slip because honestly, like ESPN guys were stopped him and made him answer. Like they said, because he's like, so we were looking at Georgia and Oklahoma, and he's like, wait, like Georgia, you had to. He's like, well, and the guy did backtrack a little bit, just saying like, no, like we look at everything, but he's like, he made it sound like they were considering who should be there, and that it was overwhelmingly Oklahoma should be the number 4.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah, like,
because that's
and
absurd.
that's what they're saying. Like, that's fine, but that was a conversation you guys had.
You
He's like,
were-
we were being thorough.
You were honestly going to have a rematch of a game you just had, and LSU destroyed them. Like, that
At the same site. It would have been at the same site, which is a home game for Georgia. Like, they're 45 minutes from that stadium.
So how they only dropped one after getting beat like that, and also having a bad loss earlier in the year to South Carolina.
Well, I wanted to tweet out at the beginning of overtime of the Big 12 championship game. I wanted to be like, it doesn't matter, Oklahoma. The college football playoff committee has already shown us that losing to a third-string quarterback in overtime doesn't matter because Georgia's there. They lost to a third-string quarterback from South Carolina who's not good, and at Georgia,
right,
like,
it's a home game.
right.
Like, it was in Athens. So I don't understand the love for Georgia, how they're dropping from 4 to 5. To me, they should have dropped from 4 to 8.
Right.
Like, I think they should have dropped a good 3 to 5 spots. I just, it boggles my mind. Oregon at 6, I don't really have a problem with. They had that the
It
loss
seems
at the
to me
beginning of
like-
the year.
It seems to me like in the Big Ten and the SEC, they valued championship game losses almost as much as championship game wins because they're like, which I understand. Like, you don't want to. I understand not penalizing a team for losing a game they won their way into. And honestly, I think that could apply to Wisconsin. I think Penn State's better than Wisconsin, but I can see how you could use that reasoning there. Georgia got walloped by LSU.
Right.
Like, and
That's what I'm-
LSU played a B game. Like, if LSU plays their A game, they probably have easily another 21 points on them.
I just
Like,
I don't understand how Georgia isn't 7, 8, or 9. I just don't.
my guess is that it's the SEC, but they didn't think it really matters. Like, outside of that top 4, they don't really care.
I'm
Like,
fine
that's-
with Oregon at 6. I think they should be 5. I'm fine probably with
And honestly,
Baylor.
I think Oklahoma is the 4th, or I think Oregon right now is probably playing as the 4th best team in the country. I think they are.
You think they're better than
I
Oklahoma?
think they're better than Oklahoma. Now, I think Oklahoma's more deserving of that 4th spot right now. But I think if you matched up Oregon, Oklahoma in a neutral field, like in a playoff scenario, I take Oregon.
Well, I think Oregon should be the 5. I mean, I would listen to them being the 4, but I think Oregon deserves to be the 5. I don't really have a problem with Baylor sitting in there because, they took the number 4 team that I think is legitimate into overtime.
And I think, honestly, if Oregon doesn't lose at Arizona State, I think they win. I think they're in the playoffs.
Oh, I completely agree.
Because
The way
they lost
destroyed-
at Auburn on the last play of the game at the start of the season, like, that would have been textbook. That would have been a textbook case where where the committee could reward the things they say they want.
Right. So
But in reality, it's punished. So they should have scheduled an FCS opponent.
I guess the writing should have been on the wall when Penn State stayed at 10 and got jumped by Florida and Wisconsin, in the second time, this time on a neutral field, and not drop from 8 to at least 9, if not 10.
Right.
Like, I just don't get that. Wisconsin and Penn State didn't play each other.
Right.
It's been a month since Penn State played Minnesota, which was at Minnesota.
Now, here's an interesting thing, just to be the devil's advocate, because I thought of this last week. Like, I wanted to be mad, that a couple teams jumped Penn State, but like having watched Penn State,
Well, no, they
beat
didn't look
Rutgers,
good
but
against Rutgers, but they were playing with how many backups?
including a backup quarterback,
Right.
Like, so like, I feel like.
To me, Penn State should be 8 or 9 in front of Wisconsin. Now, does that mean they still wouldn't have gone to the Cotton Bowl instead of the Rose? No, because they don't have to take the higher ranked.
No,
There's a whole bunch of criteria that they go by. But I'm miffed they're not in the Rose Bowl just because it's the Rose Bowl. It is the most prestigious bowl game.
Well, that's
and
all right.
Penn State's only been there, at least in terms of
What's the
Big Ten
national
play,
championship
3
game
times?
next year? What's the national championship game next
I don't
year?
know. Is it Rose Bowl?
I don't know.
You mean a playoff game. The national championship is just the national championship.
Yeah.
The college football playoff game is what you're talking about in 2020.
2021.
Well, to me, it should be LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, Oklahoma, Oregon, Baylor. I'll even put Florida there. Then maybe Georgia. Well, did Georgia beat Florida? Yeah, Georgia.
They did.
So maybe Georgia. See, like Georgia to me should drop to where Wisconsin is, and Wisconsin should drop to 10 or 11. Like, I think.
All right. So the Rose Bowl is a semifinal game next year.
All right, I'll take that.
There we go. Let's play in the Rose Bowl next year.
Right. That's better. And that's the thing. Like, I'm not mad they're in the Cotton Bowl because the Cotton Bowl is a great bowl, and it's been 44 years since Penn State's played in the Cotton Bowl, which is kind of crazy to think of. But before we focus on Penn State, how about Utah was 5?
They were.
And they dropped
5.
to 11?
Right, after losing to Oregon, which basically says, like, I don't think they would have been in even if they won.
Right.
And how about this? They're in the Alamo Bowl.
Yeah, you jump from possibly playing into the CFP, which, as we were just saying,
The way this
looks like they were getting
probably
jumped
would have.
by Oklahoma anyways.
Now, to be fair, like, Utah laid an egg. Like,
Oh, yeah, they looked awful against Oregon.
right, and I honestly was
How is
higher.
it any different than LSU beating Georgia? Like, that's why I don't get how they barely dropped Georgia out of the 4, and Utah dropped from 5 to 11.
Here we go. Ready? This is another conversation, but go to 8 teams and go back to the BCS.
Yeah, well, like we said in our text earlier, like, going to 8 teams wouldn't have helped Penn State this year. I would be pretty.
And 8 teams would have been. I would be furious if Wisconsin was still the 8.
But see, you can't even just take the top 8 because if they go to 8, it's going to be 5 major champions, which means you'd have to have. So you have LSU, Ohio State, Clemson,
and
Oklahoma, Oregon.
Here's my thing with that.
That's it, right?
Is people are like, well, that'll devalue the conference championship games. Well, LSU, Ohio State, and Clemson were basically told you can lose this game and still get in. Now, I don't know if Clemson would have. It would have depended on some of the other things.
I think also, yeah. But so
because if Clemson loses, but so does LSU, then Georgia and LSU are getting in. It would have been Georgia, LSU, Ohio State.
That would have see. I'm so ready for them to just do this on the field and not have this. But there's always going to be complaints about the last team out because.
But either way, our buddy Adam did bring up a good point. I'd seen another place. Imagine this year if they only took 2. Yeah. Like if it was LSU, Ohio State for the national championship. Sorry, Clemson.
And you're the defending the national champion.
28 straight games. You see Dabo, and like I understand exactly what Dabo's doing. Like if I was the coach, I'd be bringing it up all the time too. But he's like, you're the first team to be ranked number 1, like preseason or whatever, to not lose and end up number 3. But they also have a chance. No number 3 seed has ever won it.
Is it only been 1s and 2s?
No, it's only been 2s and 4s.
Oh, 2s and 4s.
1s haven't won it either.
Oh, well, so in an 18 playoff,
I believe it's been 2s and 4s.
In an 18 playoff, the way everyone expects them to do this, and they're going to do this in the next 5 years, I think.
Yeah, when the TV deal runs out.
I think it's within the next 4 to 6 years. So it'd be LSU, USC, Ohio State, Clemson, Oklahoma, and Oregon. Those are your Power 5 champs. Then the group of 5 would be Memphis, who Penn State is playing. We'll get to that in a second. And then 2 wild cards. And if you go by this, it would be Georgia and Baylor.
Yeah.
So Big Ten would only have 1 team.
Right. In reality, if that were the case, though, it wouldn't surprise me if it would have been Georgia and Florida. You know what I mean? If they put 3 SEC teams in over. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
see, Florida, and I went over this with my dad earlier this week. I'm like, why did Florida jump Penn State? Penn State struggled with Rutgers. Florida hasn't done anything. Florida lost to LSU.
Florida's best things are they lost to good teams.
They lost to LSU and Georgia, right?
Right. Well, to be fair, that's what Alabama has done. Alabama played.
You notice Alabama's not even on that screen.
Alabama played 2 good teams and lost.
They haven't beaten a top 25 team.
No.
So crazy to think that they're not even pictured here and losing the Iron Bowl. But yeah,
here's something to think about. If Alabama had changed offensive schemes instead of changing quarterbacks, I know that's tough because Tua is a really good quarterback, and that's kind of the other direction on this. But let's just say if they were able to maximize Jalen Hurts like Oklahoma has been able to, is Alabama in the playoff this year? Because Jalen Hurts has certainly been more like Tua's been injured last year and this year. You know, like it's just one of those things I thought about that was like, man, it'll be interesting because now he's been in it for all 4 years, whereas Alabama is nowhere to be found this year. So it's interesting.
It is interesting.
You know,
That's
Penn
for
State's sitting
sure.
there at 10. I'm confident that if they win their bowl game, they've got a chance to climb up. It scares me, though, because they're going to be playing at 11 a.m. local time, which they have proven is not a strong suit for them this year. Against a team that, like, everybody's going to be telling them, oh, you should beat them, and not realize, like, this is really good.
I've seen this is
this is Minnesota.
This
is
is a
Minnesota all over again.
lose scenario for Penn State. One, if they beat Memphis, which everyone thinks they should, it won't matter.
Right.
I could see them winning and not moving up, even if teams lose in front of them.
It depends. It depends.
Or they lose and you lost to a group of 5 team. You didn't, it's a lose. Penn State can't get anything out of it. Now I know people say, well, recruiting. You can say, you won another New Year's Six bowl. You've gone to in the last 4 years. You've been in the Rose Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, the
Cotton Bowl.
Cotton Bowl 3 of the last 4 years.
Right.
And you won the Fiesta Bowl, and hopefully you won the
But
Cotton
I just
Bowl.
look at and this is just another one of those things, and they've done it honestly more times than not this year when it's happened. But this team has said oh, we're going to be different, and they were at the end of games for the most part they were different this year than they have been the last couple of years. But you want to be different than last year? Don't go and lay an egg against Kentucky.
Well,
So
someone else
this year,
pointed that out.
you want to be different this year, be different this year. Go out and handle your business. Now,
Pointed
here's the thing,
that out.
Memphis is good. Memphis is good.
Right, but their coach is leaving
Right.
for Florida State.
See, I feel like that makes it harder because you don't necessarily, they're not going to
Do you
change
know
the
is
team
he
completely.
staying or is he
They
gone?
don't know yet. Memphis has said that'll be discussed at a later date.
Well, regardless, I've actually seen
They're prepared
I've seen
to be
Norvell speak at the coaches' club.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I remember watching his bowl game last year because they were in a shootout, and I was cheering for Memphis to win because I was like, I've seen this guy, and he's a really great coach. It was a very good, informative session. But my dad said the same thing. He texted me a few minutes ago, and he said, even though it's the Cotton Bowl, one of the Big Six, isn't it like a slap in the face playing Memphis? Penn State is nothing in the game because if they win, they'll say they should have won. But if Memphis wins, I think it makes us not look as good.
But you know what? Then take it for what it is, though. Then win the game.
They just win the game, and it doesn't matter.
Beat them by 21, and then
Take
be
it
like,
to 'em.
okay.
But like you were saying, or someone else said on the Black Shoe Dyers message board, commenting on the Cotton Bowl picks, the teams we face this year are having generational talent. And we've won a couple, we've lost a couple.
Something like Penn State's last 7 games or something will be against absurd now. Well,
Other than Rutgers.
Other than Rutgers, yeah. Like, it's absurd when you look at how many ranked games Penn State is going to play this year.
But I mean, think about it. The Minnesota team they're having the best team in how long? Like at least a decade, I would think.
Oh, easy.
Maybe longer. Penn State had to go to Minnesota, and we know what happened there. And even though Ohio State has been good forever, the last 20, 25 years, they've been probably the best team, most consistent team in the Big Ten. You know, they're undefeated sitting there right now. This is one of their better teams of the last 2+ decades. You had to go and play them on the road. Now, just like last year, playing Kentucky, was it Outback last year?
Yeah, it was Outback.
You play Kentucky, who hadn't had a team like that in, I don't know, like
40
Couch?
years.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like when was he even Kentucky? Now I'm second guessing myself.
He was Kentucky.
Like,
and then to the Browns.
yeah.
Sorry.
You played Kentucky in a bowl game last year where it was everything to them because they hadn't had a team like that in how long, and you're just disappointed the way your season ended. And now this year, you're disappointed because you didn't get the Rose. You're still in New Year's Six, but you're playing Memphis. You're not even playing a Power 5 team. So hopefully they can get up and get motivated. And that's my thing is, like, I feel like a few of these games, and even some that they won, like Indiana and Rutgers, like.
And you know what? A lot of
It's
those
been
had
a
in
little
common,
rough.
not Rutgers, but a lot of those had in common.
A lesser opponent?
Well, the noon start.
Oh, yeah, the early start. I mean, don't get me wrong. They need to win. I want them to win, and I'll be watching them hopefully win. But it's just, I feel like the way this year started and this is just ending, and some of it's their own fault, but it's just kind of going out.
Oh, yeah. If they beat Minnesota, they're in the Rose Bowl.
Right, yeah.
You know? If they beat Minnesota, they'd be up there. I don't think they would.
They wouldn't be playing in the Big Ten championship, though.
Right, but there would have been a lot of discussion.
Sitting at 11-1.
Sitting at 11-1 with your only loss at Ohio State.
Yeah.
They'd be in that 5-6 range.
Yeah,
They'd be above. They'd be above Florida. They'd be above Wisconsin. They'd be above Baylor. They'd be above Oregon. I don't know that they're above Georgia.
I don't think they make it to 4, but I just it would still piss me off that they're behind Georgia and Georgia gets killed by LSU. And at that point, Penn State wouldn't have, and Minnesota's not a bad loss. It's a loss. Georgia and Wisconsin have bad losses.
Yeah.
Bad losses. Yeah. You can't lose to Illinois and South Carolina and still think you should be.
One of Georgia's good wins is Notre Dame, who also beat no one.
Just has fallen apart.
Right. What was Notre Dame's best win? USC?
Virginia. I don't know. Virginia Tech. I don't know. Didn't they play both of them this year?
How about ACC, Coastal, whatever the joke division is there? In 7 years, has had 7 different teams win the Coastal division.
Hey, parity.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all bad equal.
Right, exactly.
Well, and that's what somebody quickly sent out a tweet reminding Pat Narduzzi that, like, oh, the Big Ten is only Ohio State, and then what else? He's like, 3 New Year's 6.
Yeah, who was that? Who said that?
That was Narduzzi that said that.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So, how about Virginia not dropping after getting shellacked?
Right, like, I don't
That's
understand.
That's a money thing. That's a money thing because now the ACC still gets, because if they fall out of the top 25, they don't get to go to the New Year's 6 game. But because they stayed in, they dropped from 23, I think, to 24.
Yeah.
Because they lost by a ton yesterday.
Right there. So, actually, do you know off the top of your head who Memphis's losses to?
No, I know they beat Cincinnati 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, right. I know.
At the same stadium, I believe. Too.
How crazy is the way that worked out? Yeah, I know they have one loss, but now I'm trying to think of which team they lost. I was gonna say it wasn't. That wasn't. I was gonna say Tulane. I was like, I don't think it was Tulane.
I don't know who it was.
Trying to figure out if I can find it here. So Penn State Cotton Bowl against Memphis, number 17 in the college football playoffs, the final polls. That game is on Saturday, December 28th, and it is a noon kickoff Eastern time. And yeah, that's. I mean, it's not what you wanted, but hopefully they can. Hopefully they can take advantage.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those where the offense should be able to do some stuff in this game, and the defense is going to need to slow down Memphis. Like that's basically what this is going to come down to.
Okay, they did. I was hoping it was Navy, but they did beat Navy. So Memphis lost to. Oh God.
It just got worse. Didn't it?
Oh gosh, this just got worse. I mean, at least it was in Philadelphia.
They lost to
They lost to Temple, 30-28.
That was back when Temple was still.
Temple was
Right
still
high.
alive, and they thought they were going to do something.
Yeah.
Guess that fell apart for them. God, I can't believe they lost to Temple. Man, I was really hoping it was Navy. For a second, I was like, wait, I think they lost to Navy.
Right.
But no,
Temple.
Temple got killed by UCF.
Yeah. Who wasn't that good?
Was this to go to, like, if Temple would have beat Cincinnati, would they have gone to the?
I don't know what the record was.
No, Cincinnati was
No.
7-1, so they needed to win one more.
Right.
Right. Oh, well, wait. Was that? Yeah, they would have all been in a three-way tie then. The Temple lost to UC. I don't know what the
Right,
tiebreaker would have
yeah.
been. There would have been like a three-way. So
That's crazy. But
I don't think it's crazy to say that on paper Penn State's the better team.
no, and they have more talent. But again, I felt that way against Kentucky last year. You know. Now I say that like they played really well in the Fiesta Bowl 2 years ago. You know what I mean? So like,
And I'm so happy with the way like things have turned around and that you expect double-digit wins and good bowl games. The problem is they've only won one of them. I know last year's wasn't a New Year's Six game, but
they
they
should
should have
won the
beat USC 3 years ago.
Yep.
Like they should have won that game.
and that was not on the offense.
No,
that
it was on the
that was on
defense.
Brent Pry and the defense.
Yeah, that was a bad.
Right. And the Fiesta Bowl, they were winning, and defense came up big at the end, but like the defense let Washington back in that game.
Yeah,
And then you look at it like
the Kentucky game just like
that was
that was special teams.
it was everything. And if Torley was hurt, you know, and play like it was a mess. That was a mess.
Yeah, it wasn't a great way to go out for that group that had been played so well for 3 years for the
So
most
like
part.
I'm hoping that this team kind of views it because I view this as man, they get a lot of extra practice now. They get a chance to really set the tone for next year. You know, if they could go out and win, and I don't want to say win big because Memphis is good, but if they go out and win by a few scores, that could really set the tone and be a great starting point for the winter and the spring and summer for next year. You know what I mean? Like, and then you might be starting next year as a top 10 team, you know, which is huge when you talk about all these things. So.
Yeah. So not to just be Penn State centered here, but can you believe the national championship is January 13th? I thought it was the 6th.
No, yeah. So it's
late.
Right, because they wait. It's going to be before the semifinals are before
New Year's.
Yeah,
the 28th. The same day as Penn State games.
There's 2 weekends in between before that. It's always something. It's always something. But yeah.
So the national
My dad's
championships in New Orleans. Oh well, happy early birthday! Sad Penn State's not playing it. Will be the winner.
Although, to be honest, if Penn State was playing that, I'd probably be so stressed out.
Dominating everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
The winner of the Peach Bowl, which is LSU against Oklahoma, will play the winner of the Fiesta Bowl, which is Clemson, Ohio State.
Are we going to make picks? Or some other time?
Do you want to do it right now? I'll do it right now.
Okay. Let's do it.
Are we going to do what we think will happen and what we want to happen? Because I was going to talk about 3 versus 2.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
I didn't mean
So, Peach Bowl, 1 against 4. Who do you think will win that game?
LSU.
I think LSU will win as well. I don't necessarily have anything against LSU, but for some reason I like Oklahoma better in terms of like rooting interest for whatever reason. So I want the Sooners to win, but I think it will be LSU.
Same.
All right, December 28th, 8 o'clock, Fiesta Bowl, Clemson against Ohio State. Both teams undefeated. Clemson has won, 2 of the last 3 national championships. They are riding a 28-game winning streak. Ohio State has, up until the last few weeks with Penn State and the Big Ten championship game, have been steamrolling everyone. there's people that don't give Ohio State a chance in this game, which I think is absurd.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I don't
Especially
get
with
that.
the
Like,
break.
I
I
don't
think if
get.
they played this week, I think they're in trouble.
Right.
Like, because they're banged up and they.
I don't understand. Like, I mean, I get it, but I'm not fully on board with giving Clemson the benefit of the doubt when this is a different year. They haven't played anyone yet.
Right.
They haven't looked good in all of their wins. Now, they've looked better recently. They struggled early, middle part of the year. They look better now, and they just destroyed with Virginia in the ACC championship. But, like, and everyone said this, who have they played? When have they been challenged? Or they've been challenged against a team that's not good.
Right. Like they haven't been challenged all year against a good team because they haven't played a good team.
And I know it's not their fault for
it's
the
not.
conference stuff. The non-conference is only a little bit their fault. Like, they scheduled the opponents. It's not, like you said,
Right.
we didn't know Texas A&M wasn't going to be a very good team this year.
Right.
So it is what it is. But I think Ohio State's going to win this game. I think people think I'm crazy. I think the Buckeyes are going to win this game. And it goes against everything in my body, but because I want the Big Ten to look good, I want Ohio State to win this
I'm
game.
in the same position.
And I don't really have anything against Clemson, because normally I'd be cheering for Clemson in this game.
Right. Yeah.
But, like, I need and want the Big Ten to have a good turnout in these bowl games, especially the Fiesta Bowl, the Rose Bowl, and the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
Imagine winning all three of those.
Right. Exactly.
That's huge
Right.
for the look of the Big Ten. Now, honestly, I think Ohio State has a better chance of beating Clemson than Wisconsin does of beating Oregon.
I agree. Although I don't know that Wisconsin, like, if Jonathan Taylor can run the ball, like that Clemson Ohio State game, I think is going to be really good. I'm kind of in the same spot where I don't know. I kind of feel like Clemson wins, but I feel like it's close. I feel like it's really close and could go either way. Like, I'm 50-50 on it. And yet, I'm so torn for rooting yet because, like, it goes against everything.
Look, I'm not going to be sitting there cheering Ohio State on, but I
if
want
they
them
win,
to win.
If they win, right.
I'm not going to be
with that.
that upset if they lose, but I want them to win. Like, if someone's like, who do you want to win, Ohio State or Clemson, I will say Ohio State, and I may throw up after saying it,
Right.
but it's true because
Right.
that would be huge for the Big Ten.
Right, absolutely. And I just don't want Ohio State to get shellacked.
No, like they did last time they
didn't score a point.
31-0 or whatever.
Yeah, so that can't happen.
And wasn't that coming off where they beat Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship, like
59?
Yeah, so I was gonna say 61-3 or something like that. Yeah, it was 59-0 or whatever. That's another thing. The Big Ten's divisions, how absurd!
It's terrible.
It's awful, awful. I mean, I don't know how you could do it differently, but the balance of power is so bad.
Relegate the bottom 4 teams out so that there's only 10 and you play everybody. Like,
See ya.
Big 12 style.
So,
but yeah,
get rid of non-conference, just play them all anyways. There's still too many. But yeah, so, all right, the other New Year's Six, the other 4 games, Sugar, Rose, Orange, and Cotton. We already talked about Cotton. That's Memphis against Penn State, 17 versus 10, respectively. We'll go backward, or we'll go forward in time. Orange is December 30th. That is ACC versus SEC or Big Ten or Notre Dame, which, God.
Because that would have been Notre Dame,
If
but
Virginia
didn't drop. Right?
Which I guess they're probably really pretty mad right now, too.
Yeah, they're in the outdoor camping bowl.
Cool.
Like, in Orlando.
I'm crying. I'm crying for them.
Hate to see
You
it.
hate to see it. So, Virginia 24 against Florida, number 9. I will absolutely be cheering for Virginia 100% in that game.
Yeah, they're not going to win, though. But
Don't-
Virginia, I'm cheering.
I hope they do win. On Florida's own turf, too. I
Yeah.
mean, I know it's in Miami. I know it's not in Gainesville. But where would you rather be playing if you're Virginia? Would you like to play in Florida, or would you like to play in, I don't know, anywhere else other than Florida? So, whatever. Rose Bowl, Wisconsin, Oregon. See, this is where I probably differ, I don't know from you, but from a lot of people, or there's also a lot of people torn. I want Oregon to win this game.
See, I want Wisconsin.
Like, I won't
But
be they made. The way that it was set up, they earned their spot in the Big Ten championship game. I just don't like that they lost and didn't move.
Right.
And like you saw other teams, like it just makes no sense. It makes no sense. And I'm bitter that Rose picked them over Penn State.
Right.
And I'm just gonna tell myself it's because Penn State's played there more recently than Wisconsin has.
Right.
I'm gonna stick to that.
Yeah. When I look at this, that's what I'm gonna go with too.
We had the chance
on
for
the
a Penn
bright side,
State Oregon rematch.
On the bright side, we don't have to watch Juwan Johnson torch our secondary now.
There's so many storylines set up.
There are a ton of storylines.
And then the last game is the Sugar Bowl, and that is Georgia versus Baylor.
So nothing would surprise me here, but including a Baylor win. Like I feel like
I want Baylor to win this game.
Oh, I want them to win this game. But I feel like this game means so much more to Baylor than it will to Georgia. You know what I mean? Like, this has the feeling to me of like that UCF Auburn game a few years ago, where like, yeah, they just threw UCF a game, but like, you know, and it wasn't that Auburn's not trying, but like, you know, but that was the world to UCF, you know, and I feel like winning this game is huge for Baylor, and I'm really happy for Matt Rule, like really happy for Matt Rule.
There's a lot of people, Penn State fans, that think Matt Rule would make an excellent head coach. I'm not sure what they're not seeing in James Franklin, but
here's another thing that's kind of odd is like people were mad. A lot of those same people were mad when Bill O'Brien, who had said from the start, I want to coach in the NFL, left to then go coach in the NFL. Matt Rule has made it known that he wants to coach in the NFL. Probably should have been hired by the Jets last year, but they chose Adam Gase instead, and has made it. And I don't hold that against Matt Rule, but like if you go after a guy like Matt Rule, and then he leaves, and then you're mad at him when he told you I'm going to leave when I get the chance, like people are stupid.
Maybe he'll be the next Carolina head coach.
He could be. He just signed that extension at Baylor, but that's one of the things.
Did he?
Yeah, but like,
well, it's different when another college call's coming for those, but if the NFL comes calling, you're probably going to figure out a way to say, hey, NFL team, pay this exit.
Right. But see, that's the thing too. Like, so I think an interesting thing, and it's not there right now, but I think an interesting thing would be like after next year, like let's say this season reflects last year a little, or this past season in the Big 12 again. Does Texas come calling to Baylor? Like that would be an interesting thing.
Be crazy.
You know what I mean? Because they're the best team in Texas right now, and it's not really that close.
See, this is tangentially related to this conversation. I was just thinking how cool it would be for all the Texas teams to play each other all the time. Texas Tech, Texas A&M, Baylor, TCU.
Well, Texas A&M,
UTEP, UTSA, UTSA. Is SMU in Texas?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, there should be a Texas conference. Like, the Big 12 should...
Well, I believe that's, like, essentially kind of like
what
how that started with Oklahoma.
Southwestern Conference,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I was just like, that's what they should do. That'd be cool.
Like TCU?
That's what I said.
Okay.
TCU, yeah. Horned Frogs, baby. This is kind of related to playing college football game, but it's always fun to do custom conferences.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't ever kick myself out of the Big Ten playing as Penn State, but I always like, man, wouldn't it be cool if like there was like a Mid-Atlantic conference? Well, I know there's a Mid-Atlantic conference, but I mean a real Power 5 Mid-Atlantic. But like the teams that you would
like the one
include there,
wanted to create.
exactly. But that would just be like basically making a northern version of the ACC, because none of the teams that I would want to include in there are any good.
Right.
Like it's Penn State and Boston College, Syracuse, Rutgers, like Temple, maybe like Virginia Tech. Like who in there like would be stiffer competition than what you're getting in the Big Ten?
It was interesting.
You can throw Pittsburgh in there too because they're terrible.
Right.
So that's right. I said it. Pitt is awful.
Someone was like talking about Ohio State, and they were like, "Well, they got to play Rutgers," and I'm like, "LSU got to play like because they're in the same division." I was like, "LSU played Arkansas.
Yeah,
they're terrible.
Yeah.
Like, they'll."
Like you can try to compare the tops and bottoms of conferences all you want.
Right.
There's always going to be good and bad teams. So let's wrap this up though. Here, just a couple other games to point out. A few interesting matchups. How about Indiana in the Gator Bowl against Tennessee? Remember, Indiana's been a laughingstock for how many years. Tennessee's was
Come on,
awful at the beginning of the year.
Right, first half of the year they were terrible, and they didn't fire the coach, and he turned it
Turned
around.
it around.
And good for him. And honestly, again, this is one of those things that kind of goes against lots of things because I have no reason to root for Tennessee. I want Indiana to win the game, but I completely 100% want Indiana to win the game.
Big Ten.
However,
Win that game.
I want the SEC East to be something other than like just
Georgia,
nothing.
Florida,
Right,
yeah.
it's more college football is more fun when it's not just like, oh, who's going to go and lose to the SEC West? Just like, who's going to go and lose to the Big Ten East? It's more fun when it's competitive.
The Gator Bowl is an interesting one. Maybe the teams don't have a lot of panache, but for the Big Ten,
and that means a lot to both those fan bases right now.
Yeah,
Tennessee feels like they're on the right side going up.
Indiana's had their best season in how long?
Just locked up their coach.
Then 2 games, both on New Year's Day at the same time, which are awesome games featuring Big Ten teams.
Yeah.
Minnesota, Auburn. As much as I hate the Gophers for what they did to Penn State, I'm
Win
all
this
on
game.
board. Row the boat, baby.
Yeah.
Is that what he says?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, then I was second guessing myself.
I think the other one's like ski ma or something.
Whatever.
But I don't know what that means. I think that's
Minnesota. Let's go play hockey. The Citrus Bowl then on January 1st, 1 o'clock. Michigan, Alabama.
Does Michigan have a shot?
Well, I would think so. Alabama? Are they good? Like, we don't know.
I don't know if they're good.
And that was, will Tua play? I don't think so.
No,
He's
no,
done,
no,
right? He's out for months.
Yeah, he may not do anything before the draft, is my understanding.
Has he
When I had
decided to enter? I know he had that
No,
announcement. I was gonna say, I'm not even sure he decided to enter yet.
When you've missed games the last 2 years, though, like how, unless you feel like your draft stock is going to be hurt because people are unsure how your injury will play out.
True.
But I feel like that won't happen. I'll feel like he'll do enough athletic things to show that he's going to be fine. But that injury was explained to me by like an expert.
Doc?
Yes,
Was it Doc?
it was Doc. He explained it to my class. He came in and spoke to my class, and that was one of the things he talked about. And wow, it was terrifying. And he talked about what made it different than Bo Jackson's. Basically, Bo Jackson's, they pop back in and he kept playing, and there's a huge blood vessel that goes into the top of your femur there, and it, like where the part of the ball and socket is, and he, because that was damaged with Bo Jackson, like the bone never healed and it died, like it had
Degenerative.
Right, so like the bone tissue died and he had to have hip replacement, and that was it. They were fast forward 30 years.
Right.
That's why people, some people are like, oh man, they're being like crazy because they put him on a helicopter and flew him back to Alabama and took him to the hospital right away. No, that's why they do that, so they can make sure all of that stuff is in there. But he basically explained that the hip, like the leg, dislocated out the back, so it means it ripped through all the cartilage and stuff holding it in there. It's so hard that it fractured the pelvic bone.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. He had his leg ripped from his body. That's what happened. Ugh. He said you normally only see this
without it
in
dangling.
Car accidents when the dashboard hits the leg so hard it shoves your legs back. Yeah.
All right. Last couple of games we don't have to comment on. Just kind of putting it out there to let people know.
That would be a huge win for the Big Ten and Michigan if they win that.
Michigan
again,
beating
I'm
Alabama
split because I don't necessarily want Michigan. Now here's the
because they're playing Alabama. I want
Penn State gets the win.
Oh, I don't care what else happens.
Right.
I mean, I want the Big Ten to look good.
Right.
But if Penn State wins,
then
I really don't care.
I want all of them to win. Like, if Penn State loses,
Big Ten sweep bowl games.
Can you imagine? Although I don't know that I want that. I'd
be
okay with Ohio State winning the first one. I don't.
I don't know.
I want them winning the second one.
They sweep the first round of the games. Kansas State's playing Navy December 31st, 3:45.
Good game.
Liberty Bowl, Arizona State, Florida State, Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, Virginia Tech, Kentucky in the Belk Bowl, and Utah, Texas in the Alamo Bowl. Illinois made the bowl game playing Cal in the Red Box Bowl. Congratulations to Lovie Smith. But yeah, there's your Camping World. Notre Dame versus
I didn't
Iowa
think
State.
Lovie Smith would be able to get it done at Illinois. Not because of Lovie Smith, because of Illinois.
Right.
And he has.
So far, so good. Yeah.
That's 6 wins there in a bowl game. That's huge.
December 28th, Notre Dame, Iowa State in the Camping World Bowl. And maybe the last couple of note, Holiday Bowl, December 27th, USC, Iowa. December 27th is the Texas Bowl, Texas A&M against Oklahoma State. And the Pinstripe Bowl, Michigan State, Wake Forest, and I'll say it because we were bagging on them. Military Bowl is North Carolina Temple, and the Quick Lane Bowl is Pitt versus Eastern Michigan.
Somebody said, "Man, the crowd shots of that game."
That
I just
should be
reply. All I
epic.
did
In Detroit.
was reply. Pitt will feel right at home.
Yeah, there'll be no one there. Yeah.
It's the same day as the Penn State game,
How about, like, you're a group of 5 team, whatever, 7-5, yay, but you get to go to the Bahamas right before Christmas.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congrats, man.
Kick off that bowl season, Charlotte versus Buffalo.
Yeah.
You're going to
I
Nassau.
hope the injured punter gets to go because
Yeah, he
he's
just
so
started
cool
punting
about
again,
everything.
so, yeah.
Like, I hope he gets to
Good
go.
stuff. So,
Yeah, live it up, man.
have a good time. So, we didn't get to talk about the NFL week here. We're going to wrap up here. I don't know that there was anything really significant that happened this week other than maybe the Chiefs beating the Patriots up at Gillette. That was a big one, and I know there was some maybe controversy there surrounding referees. But
There were terrible calls that took points off the board for the Patriots, absolutely. But you know what else took points off the board for the Patriots?
not catching
Dropping
the ball.
balls in the end zone, right? But yeah, that's crazy. They've lost 3 in a row now, right? Yeah.
No, they didn't lose 3 in a row, right? No, they won. So after losing to Baltimore, they won.
Okay, I don't know.
Well, Buffalo hung with Baltimore, but it was at home, so Baltimore still won in Buffalo. Denver upset Houston. That was a big one. San Francisco and New Orleans was in a shootout, 48-46. I know people were saying, that this could be an NFC championship preview. You're discounting the Seahawks there, and maybe you should be because it's halftime and they're losing. My Dolphins lost to the Jets on perhaps a crappy pass interference call that led to the Jets field goal. Tampa Bay upsets Indianapolis 38-35. And like I said, the Rams are beating the Seahawks right now 14-3, and the Eagles play the Giants tomorrow
That's
night.
huge with the Niners win today. So
It's a big
yeah,
game.
the Patriots have lost 2 in a row. Sorry, they lost to the Texans
That's right, yeah.
last week, and they lost to the
But they beat
Chiefs this
someone
week.
the week
The
before.
Cowboys, they beat 13-9. But here are the Patriots' scores the last few weeks. They scored 16 points this week. They scored 22 points last week. They scored 13 the week before that. They scored 17 the week before that. 20, 27, and they scored 33 against the Jets. But they haven't scored more than they haven't scored more than 27 points in over a month, almost a month and a half now.
Well, we were gonna just kind of throw a torch on this discussion and talk about how Tom Brady's done in New England, but we didn't get to do that.
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to throw it out there. I think that because there's lots of talk about how he has no weapons, I think Belichick is sabotaging him and wants him out so that he can prove that he. I think he's
the genius behind this.
Right. I think we're going to get a chance to see it.
We need another expose like they did a few years ago.
The thing I heard this week on the radio was that both sides, Brady wants a long-term deal, and he knows the Patriots aren't going to give it to him. Not long-term, but wants multi-year deal, and he's done taking the
team-friendly
discounts,
and whatnot.
and the Patriots are of the mindset of we don't know what a 45-year-old quarterback looks like. We don't, or however old he's 42, I guess.
But if he wants a 3-year deal or whatever,
they're like, we don't know what he can do now, let alone 3 years from now. We're not going to do that.
Don't let him hit free agency.
Dolphins can trade their first-round picks to the Patriots.
Oh my God! Don't stop. All right, and on that note, Tom Brady's done in New England. You heard it here first. I can't wait for the emails. I wish we could have dedicated the whole show to talking about that because I think it's absolutely true.
It's over. Dolphins are on the rise.
That's right.
Of course, the Bills got good too. Right?
Fins up, baby.
It'll be okay.
All right, so that's going to be it for us. We're done. We'll have a show next week.
Yeah.
And it'll be fun because we'll be talking Army-Navy.
I was going to say, go Army, be Navy.
And NFL Week 15, and the playoff picture will definitely be coming into focus. We'll have a lot more to talk about. There won't have been any college bowls, but we can, I guess, maybe touch on the Heisman, which will be handed out. Who do you think is going to win?
Joe Burrow. And I think
like,
because of this week, I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be huge. And deservedly so. Justin Fields had a great year.
Not
Joe
to
Burrow
the same
had a
level as
historic
Joe Burrow did,
right. Historic year.
So, there you go. I mean, breaking news. We predict Joe Burrow to win the Heisman. No one is going that direction. Imagine if you put down a bet on Joe Burrow prior to the season starting for him to win the Heisman. I bet you got pretty good odds and payout for that. Yeah. Hey, to win money, you gotta make money. You gotta spend money, right?
That's right.
So
That's right.
Someone got to be out there with a ticket that says Joe Burrow.
I'm
for
sure
Heisman.
there's someone.
So I'm sure that'll come out, and then they'll be getting a tattoo of it or something, because that's what they always do. Is they'll get a tattoo or something. But yeah. So that's it. We'll be back next week for episode 288, I think. So we're closing in on that 300. We'll start talking to Ross Tucker, get him on the show.
Yeah.
That's it. So thanks for listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. For Justin Raffoff, I'm Joe Mays. And until next time, raise the sail and sing second. Go Navy, beat Army. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. Tune in every Sunday for the latest sports discussions from Joe and Justin. Each episode is available live
On Facebook Live.
and can be downloaded or streamed on iTunes and SoundCloud. You can interact with Joe and Justin on Facebook and Twitter, and stay up to date with the guys at joemaysandjraff.com. The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is part of the JMNJR Radio Network. For more info, visit jmnjrradio.com.